Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. That's PTK. Today we're going to discuss about encapsulation. Encapsulation is one of the most fundamental concepts in object-oriented programming. And let's discuss what is encapsulation. When working with classes and dealing with sensitive data, providing global access to all variables used within the program is not a good choice. Encapsulation offers a way for us to access the required variables without providing the program full-fledged access to any of those variables. Updating, modifying, or deleting data from variables can be done through the use of methods that are defined specifically for a purpose. The benefit of using this approach to programming is improved control over the input data and better security. So, encapsulation is an object-oriented programming. You can restrict access to methods and variables. This can prevent the data from being modified by accident and is known as encapsulation. Encapsulation can be achieved using private variables and private methods. Encapsulation is an idea of packing of data and methods operating on the data into single component and restricting the access to some of the object's components. This puts restrictions on accessing variables and methods directly and can prevent the accidental modification of data. Encapsulation is information hiding. Here, the class data methods plus metager, these are the behaviors or functions. Here, the class is like a capsule that holds variables and methods. When you see a capsule, you can see just like a normal capsule. That's a class. But can you see the things that are mixed to make a capsule? It is a package of different chemicals, medicines mixed together. And it is packed into a capsule. So we can compare capsule like a class and these medicines mixed together are variables and methods. So this is like private that we cannot see. Scope of public and private variables and methods. Public methods are accessible from anywhere. Private methods accessible only in their own class. Public variables accessible from anywhere. Private variables accessible only in their one classes or by method if different. Compared to languages like Java that offers access modifiers, public or private, for variables and methods, Python provides access to all variables and methods globally. Check the below demonstration of how variables can be easily accessed. So I created a class named person. I just created a constructor name in it. I kept two parameters, fname, and here age is another parameter and its value is 1. Self.fname is equal to fname, self.age is equal to age, and I created a method named display person self and print self.fname, print self.age. So here p is an object equals person and Karti 10. So its fname is Karti and its age is 10. Class method accessing. Now I'm using p.displayPerson and data accessing directly from outside. So I'm executing this directly from outside here. So p.fname, p.age. Here it will execute Karti and 10. Let's check. Let me run execute and see. And you would think how it's like execute two times. This one is actually executed due to this, and first these two is executed by this. This is because this is, by method we are accessing it, but here we are accessing the data directly from outside. Private variables. To prevent accidental change, an object's variable can be only changed by an object's method. Those type of variables are known as private variable. In Python, we donate private attributes using underscore as the prefix, single underscore or double underscore. Now here private variables can be accessed only within the method, but not from directly outside, but we're just like accessing it within the method. So I created class a person double underscore age equals 10. I created a method name display age, that's print person age self dot age, whatever the self dot age, p equals person p dot display age. So if I executed it, it gave person age is 10 because here it's 10. But how can we say it's a private variable? As because it's a double. If you give a double underscore, it becomes a private variable. Now I am going to access the private variable outside the class. Now if I execute it, it came an error. But why? As because right here we cannot access the private variables, as because it's private. So now let me execute. So here this is another this is a private method. Private method can be accessed only within the method. So here I created a class named person. I created a method named display private. Here it has a double underscore. Can you see right here? So it is a private method now. So it's going to execute this as private method dot dot dot, and I created another method display public. Here there is no double underscore, so it's a public variable. I mean a method we can say, and it's going to say this is public method dot 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 and self dot display private with two parentheses. P is equal to person p dot display public. If I execute it, this is public method as because it is executing here, and it came dot dot dot, and private method as because for this. So this is private method, you can see here. Now I'm trying to access the private method from outside the class. Let me check if that can happen. Now let me check if I can. Oh, it came an error. As because it's a private method, it cannot be accessed using single underscore. A common Python programming conversation to identify a private variable is a prefixing it with an underscore. Now this doesn't really make any difference on the compiler side of things. The variable is still accessible as usual, but being a convention the programmers have picked upon, it tells other programmers that the variables or methods had to be only used within the scope of the class. Python doesn't have real private methods, so one underline in the beginning of a method or attribute means you shouldn't access this method, but this is just a convention. I can still access the variables with single underscore. Also, when double underscore, we can still access the private variables. An example of accessing private member data using name mangling. So, I created a class name person and a constructor and two parameters fname and age that's equal to 1. So self.fname equals fname, self.age, but is a underscore. So self.age equals age. So, and I created a method named displayPerson and print self.fname and print self.age. Here I created a class I know a person and Karti10 and I'm using class method accessing p.displayPerson, and so it's going to execute this Karti and 10, and from the private accessing from directly from outside p.fname, so Karti and 10 again it will execute. Let's check. As I said, now it's clear that the variable access is unchanged, right? But can we do anything to really make it private? Let's have a look further. Using double underscores. If you want to make a class members, that is methods and variables, private, then you should prefix them with double underscores. But Python offers some support to private access modifier. This mechanism is called name mangling. With this, it is still possible to access the class members from outside it. Name mangling. In Python, any identifier variable is rewritten by a Python interpreter as class name variable. The class name remains as the present class name. This mechanism of changing name is called name mangling in Python. In this example, in class person, the age variable is changed and is prefixed by leading double underscores. So, I created a class name person. I created the init constructor fname and age equals 1. Self.fname is equal to. So here I created a class name person. I create the constructor name init self. Fname and age is equal to 1. Self.fname is equal to fname. Self.double underscore age is equal to age. So here it is a private variable, and I created a method named displayPerson and print self.fname print self.age. So I created an object named p and person. Kartik is the fname and then the age. So I'm from the class method I'm accessing, so it's going to execute Kartik and 10, and it's a private data. It's a double underscore accessing directly from outside. So I'm going to execute fname, that is Kartik, and age is 10. So this Kartik and 10 is going to execute this 2 times. But what came an error? When we execute this, no error came. But Kartik, at next Kartik, like nothing happened. But at age, why it came an error? Here, this private variables can be accessed by the class method, but cannot be accessed directly from outside. That's why here it came an error. You can see here it's saying that p._age is wrong. It is accessing directly from outside is an error. You can observe the variables are still be accessed using methods, which is a part of the class. But you can access it directly from outside as it is a private variable. Using getter and setter methods to access private variables. A class is an example of encapsulation, as it encapsulates all the data that is member functions and variables, etc. Getter and setter methods are used to access the private variables from outside without getting an error. So you might be tempted to use getter and setter methods instead of attributes, but the only reason to use getter and setter is so you can change the implementation later if you need to. So here I created a class named person. So I created a constructor. I kept two parameters, that's fname and age. Its default value is 1. So I created a method named display person. So it's going to execute, hi, my name is Karthik and my age is 10, and because of this here, and I create another method set age, and that is the setter method. Here, how can we set the setter method? See, you can see here self.double_age. It's a private variable as it has double underscore. So we are assigning a value. You are assigning a variable to a variable. So this double_age is getting to another. No, it's a public variable age. So this is called the setter method, and I created another method named getAge, just the getter method, because we are returning. That means we are getting it. That's why it's called as the getter method. And so here I create an object named P, and its fname is Karthik and its age is 10. And now I'm accessing from the class method. So if I execute it, it came here, hi, my name is Karthik and my age is 10. My name is Karthik, my name is, and here Karthik, because self.fname is Karthik and 10 age is equal to 10. That's why it came my age is 10. And now I'm going to use the print getter. I'm going to getter method age. So p.get age. So if I get execute, so getter method age is 10 because we changed the so getter method as because we changed here. So the p age is 10. Now I'm setting the age is becoming 12. Why didn't I execute anything? As because we're simply setting the age. Now if I unrestrict this, so now it's going after setting the age, the getter method age. So let's see what it will come. How did it change? Before it would become an error because we are using the getter and setter methods. Let me show you another example. So here I created a class named car. So I created a constructor and self.double_max_price. It's a private variable because I kept 2 underscores. You can see here, and it's 9,500. And I created a method named getMaxPrice. Here it's a getter method. So car max selling price and self.maxPrice. Here self.maxPrice is 9,500. So it's going to execute 9,500. Car max selling price is 9,500. And now I'm using the setter method and I'm assigning the variable price from max price. So I created an object named C and C.getMaxPrice. So it would come car max selling price as 9,500. See, as I said, and if I go like this, so now C.getMaxPrice is 10,000. So what I'm doing here is I'm changing the price. Execute it, nothing happened because just I'm changing the price. And if I unrestrict this, so I'm private variable before calling, so C.maxPrice. So let's see what it will execute. So now I executed before it is 10,000 as we set it, so it executed as 10,000. And but if I execute it again before that, you would think it got changed, but it will simply show temporarily. But if I execute it, see, it became 9500. So it's showing temporarily. So it's not changed still. So now I'm using the setup function. So I'm setting the price as 12,599. Now, so I'm just simply, if I execute it, it won't execute nothing as because I'm simply setting the price. Now if I execute it, it will come 12,599. So if I execute it here, it came 12,599. So now I set it, and if I give this, let me check if it's temporarily set it or not. If I execute it, oh, now it's changed. Before now, when we access it, it became 10,000. Afterwards, it execute 9,500 because it's temporarily just showing. But now it came permanently. So this is the use of getter setter method. Scope of public and private variables and methods. Public methods are the methods that are accessible from anywhere. Private methods are the methods accessible only in their own class. Public variables are the variables are accessible from anywhere. Private variables are the variables accessible only in their own class or by a method if different. So I created a class named my class. I created a private variable name x is equal to 10. We can call it as a private variable as because it has double underscore. And I created a public variable named y is equal to 25. I created a getter method named show variable. We can say it's a getter method as because I'm returning, that is x. And I created a private method named my private, and I'm returning you can't show me private. And now I created a public method named my public, and it's returning you can show me public. So here I created an object named my object. So I'm going to print show private variable show var. So if I execute it, why it came show private variable 10? As because it's show variable, it's returning x and x is equal to 10. That's why it's executing 10. Now for executing this, what it will execute? Why did it came an attribute error? As because we can't access the private variables from outside. That's why it came an error. Now here I'm going to execute public variable y. Now why it executed this? As because public variable y and my object dot y is equal to 25. That's why it executed 25. And now if I execute this, what will happen? It execute you can show me public as because in my public I'm returning you can show me public. That's why it's executing this. Now if I execute this, what it will execute? Came an attribute error again. But now why? As because we can't access the private methods. Now if I asterisk this, let me see what it will execute. I execute you can show me public and you can't show me private. As because it executed because set to my private, you can see here my private is returning you can't show me private, and it's adding till here. That's why it executed you can't show me private. Now public methods are accessible from anywhere. So what is the public method here? That is my public. And now the private method accessible only in their own class. So the private variable in this class is my private, and private variables accessible from anywhere. The example in this class is y that is value is 25. And private variables are accessible only in their own class or by every friend. Its example x that's equal to 10. Now I am going to say the benefits of encapsulation in Python. Encapsulation not only ensures better data flow but also protects the data from outside sources. The concept of encapsulation makes the code self-sufficient. It is very helpful in implementation level as it prioritizes the how type questions, leaving behind the complexities. You should hide the data in the unit to make encapsulation easy and also to secure data. What is the need for encapsulation in Python? Why developers find encapsulation handy and why the object-oriented concept is outclassing in many programming languages? Encapsulation helps in achieving the well-defined interaction in every application. The object-oriented concept focuses on the reusability of code in Python. The application can be securely maintained. It ensures the flexibility of the code through a proper organization. It promotes a smooth experience for the users without exposing any back-end complexities. It improves the readability of code. Any changes in one part of the code will not disturb another. Encapsulation ensures data protection and avoids the access of data accidentally. The protected data can be accessed with the method discussed above. Encapsulation in Python is the data is hidden outside the concept definition, object definition. It enables developers to develop user-friendly experience. This is also helpful in securing data from breaches as the code is highly secure and cannot be accessed by outside sources. So this is the end of a video. For now, bye bye.